Welcome to the HVAC Leadership Podcast, the show where we talk about the real stories behind the wins, the challenges, and the lessons learned on the way up. I'm your host, Denise Powell, and today we are joined by Joe Burnich, owner of Big West Marketing. So, Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Joe, would you like to kick us off, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your company?
Sure, yes. Back in 2009, I started a carpet cleaning business here in Missoula, Montana, in the U.S., and I had to teach myself marketing. I had to teach myself how to build a website. I taught myself how to get ranked up on Google just out of necessity because I didn't know how to do business back in the day. And so I had a friend of my dad taught me how to do that actually. And so I spent, early mornings, I would get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, teach myself how to do that. And then by 8 or 9 in the morning, then I'd be out cleaning carpets and basically working the rest of the day. So that's how I got introduced to this whole online marketing thing. And it wasn't that big of a deal back in 2009. But as it became more popular, then I realized other businesses, other service businesses, electricians, HVAC, other people in the service industry needed help doing this. Most people didn't want to do that kind of stuff. They just wanted to work their businesses. So I'd be getting on online forums and Facebook groups, stuff like that, giving people advice. And at that point, I decided to start a little side hustle and start helping people do this, building websites, doing online SEO marketing, stuff like that. In 2014, I had to make a decision whether or not I wanted to keep this side hustle going or go full time with it. And at that point, one of my carpet cleaning employees made an offer to buy my carpet cleaning business from me. And so I decided to do that. I decided to take the leap, sell my carpet cleaning business and go full time into the marketing business. And so since then, I've done over 1,400 websites. And we currently have over 80 SEO clients, and we host over 500 websites. And I've got 4 full-time employees, and now I've got Big West Marketing. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what we do. And we support strictly service businesses. We work with cleaning companies, we work with electricians, and then we've got a handful of HVAC websites as well, HVAC clients. So that's where I come from. But we don't do any other type of businesses. We don't work with retail businesses. We don't do e-commerce. We don't work real estate, anything like that. We stick with the service businesses, and we strictly do SEO and web design. We don't stray outside that because we want to be very specialized and we want to be the best at this specific niche. So that's in a nutshell. That's what I do.
And I'm sure when COVID hit, you were very glad you decided to start a carpet cleaning business.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
so that's a great journey. So now you've been in this space and you specialize in service businesses, particularly HVAC as well. What major trends are you seeing when it comes to HVAC companies? And are you seeing any trends emerge over the last year or so?
Yeah, so there's a lot of new stuff coming along, especially when it comes to AI. I'm sure everybody has heard, AI this, AI that. And one of the big things that I want to talk about is, you got to be very careful when you are getting into this world of AI because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I've had a lot of clients in the HVAC world and in other clients in other industries as well. They've been approached by companies, whether it be a software company, a service company, and they've been sold on products and services that are just not working. They kind of been sold just because it's got the word AI. And the big red flag out there that I think people need to watch out for is if they're sold on an urgency, like you need to buy this now before your competitors get in on it. Okay. I don't think that people need to be pressured into getting into some kind of AI program because their competitors are going to get in on it before they are. Okay. I don't think that there is that much urgency when it comes to AI. Okay, I just don't believe that. I think people need to take this in a slow, methodical way. Okay, there's not going you're not going to get left behind. Okay, the whole I'm going to get left behind if I don't start spending money on AI right now. I don't believe that. AI is coming. It's important, but I don't believe that you have to spend money now or you're going to just get left behind and your competitors are going to overtake you. If you start hearing that kind of rhetoric from these companies, I believe it's a red flag, and I think you need to walk away from that type of sales pitch. The way that I'm using AI in my company is we're mainly using ChatGPT, and we're using it to help create content for websites, but we're doing it in a very careful way, and humans are very involved with this. Okay, we're not just putting stuff into ChatGPT and then copying and pasting it and putting it onto websites. Okay, we're being very methodical and very careful on how we do this. We're making sure that it's approved by Google, and we're testing, retesting, and we're constantly changing, experimenting, and finding out what works and what doesn't work. Okay, so it's a process, and like I said, there's so much testing involved, and it changes so often. You got to be so careful on what you're doing. There's so many wrong ways to use AI that you just got to be so careful. So just because a company is saying that they're an AI company doesn't mean it's a good thing. I think there's so many people taking advantage of this AI, technology wave that you just got to be careful. You got to use your common sense when it comes to this.
It's hard to know who you can trust. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I love what you were saying earlier about a ranking on ChatGPT as well as Google ranking. Now, I don't think many people know about that. So tell us a little bit more about ranking on ChatGPT.
Yeah. So Google has been dominant for the last probably 10 years when it comes to searching for local businesses. So if someone's searching for an HVAC company in your town, 95% of the time they're going to be using Google. But more and more people are starting to search for HVAC companies using ChatGPT. The difference with searching on ChatGPT and searching with Google is people are using ChatGPT in more of like a conversational way. So instead of just searching for, HVAC company in Kansas City, okay? Instead, they're searching more in a way like they're talking to a friend. They're saying, please tell me about the best priced HVAC company in Kansas City. And then ChatGPT will give a list of things, but then ChatGPT will come back and say, are you looking for a company that specializes in furnace installs? Okay, and so they'll start coming back and asking questions to the customer, like, what type of company are you looking for? Do they specialize in this? Do they specialize in that? And so the way that you can start showing up in ChatGPT is to start putting more and more specific content on your website. When I say content, I mean text, words. And the way that we have found so far, and this is changing and it's evolving all the time, but the way that we have found you can really start capitalizing on this ChatGPT is to start putting detailed, frequently asked questions on your website. So a lot of people already have, frequently asked questions on their website. But if you start putting more and more of those on your website, they can be on the home page, or they can be on your different service pages, or they can be on its own page called frequently asked questions. But if you start putting more and more of those on your website, and you start putting more detailed answers and more detailed questions on that website, you're going to start, we've already been experimenting with this extensively. And the more that you have on your website when it comes to questions and answers, the more you're going to start showing up on ChatGPT. It's really fun it's really fun. We've just been experimenting with this.
This article that it's not so much also the words, but I believe in the background, there's something you can put in on your website that ChatGPT will actually pick that up as well. Have you heard about that?
At this point, so we just got back from a conference in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was all kinds of information on what you can and can't do as far as ChatGPT. and there's so much debate on what works and what doesn't. So, and these are the experts in the field. I mean, these are the top people in the local SEO field of what works and what doesn't. So, there was like heated arguments on what works and what doesn't. So, the stuff that we've been experimenting with is mainly just website content. And so, and other people are saying, if you're on this specific online directory, of course you want to be on Yelp and you have your Facebook business page. And then, they're saying if you're on Reddit, if people are talking about you on Reddit, then that helps as well. But then we started testing that. We did see that people were on Reddit showed up, but then 2 weeks later, those Reddit rankings weren't, or the people that were ranking on Reddit all of a sudden weren't ranking as well. So it's like they looked at ChatGPT, loved Reddit 1 week, the next week they didn't love Reddit. So it changes constantly. But the constant that we have found so far is having really high quality, detailed information on the website itself. So far, that has been the most powerful, consistent factor. And another factor besides the frequently asked questions that we have found is having some sort of pricing information on your website. ChatGPT absolutely loves to give pricing information, and you don't have to have exact pricing information, but even just price ranges on your services, because I know it's very difficult for HVAC companies to put exact prices, and you don't want your competitors to be shopping you and trying to underbid you and stuff like that. But if you have even broad price ranges on your website for some of your main services, that is going to separate you and give ChatGPT something to really show your potential customers. It's something you easily do that your competition is probably not doing, even in big cities.
That's absolutely fascinating, because the number one rule is don't put any prices there, because you can chase clients away if they see the prices. It's interesting that ChatGPT likes that. So I like that putting a range in there.
Yeah, the price range pages, the guys that we have showing price range pages are absolutely showing up even in big cities. And one guy is even showing up in Minnesota, is showing up across the state. He's actually in the electrician field, but he's showing up across the state, ranking all over in ChatGPT across the full state, because nobody else in the whole state is even talking about price at all. So it's pretty amazing. It's wide open right now if you want to experiment with putting, and he's got big ranges of prices, nothing specific at all. He's just the only person that even has dollar signs on anything as far as services for electricians. So it's wide open right now. Yeah.
Tell us, what kind of results are your clients actually seeing?
It kind of depends. And one of the big things that if we want to kind of get away from like the ChatGPT and start talking back to like just basic SEO, which is still the most powerful way I feel to get jobs from the internet, is on Google. One of the main things that is not talked about, which is still extremely important, is having a good centrally located address. The address that you register with Google is still going to be one of the main ranking factors. Okay. And this is something that a lot of SEO or marketing companies won't talk about, because it's not something they can really make money off of. But I still want to bring it up because it is one of the main ranking factors. So let's give an example. So if you wanted to rank in, let's say Kansas City, and I'm bringing up Kansas City because I'm getting ready to go visit Kansas City, so it's kind of on my mind. So let's use Kansas City as an example. If you're an HVAC company and you want to rank for heating and air Kansas City, when somebody types that into Google for a heating and air company in Kansas City, if you've got a physical address registered with Google, okay, and it's in Kansas City, okay, you're going to have the best chance of actually ranking in Kansas City. Now, what most HVAC companies have is they have their home address or their office, they have it actually registered in one of the suburbs of Kansas City, okay, because there's probably 20 to 30 suburbs in the Kansas City area. And they're probably physically located they have their physical address in one of those suburbs, okay? But they actually want the Kansas City ranking because that's where the majority of people are searching. So when somebody comes to us and they say, hey, we want to rank in Kansas City, one of the first questions I'm going to ask on one of my free consultations is, where are you physically located? What's your physical address? And usually they'll tell me, well, I'm actually over in this area, but I want to rank in Kansas City. So what I'm going to tell them, first of all, is like, you either need to decide, I'm going to dominate my little suburb area first, or you're going to need to rent an office or find an address in the Kansas City area, in the actual city of Kansas City. It's not something that people want to hear, because they don't want to spend money on renting an office, or they don't want to find an address in the Kansas City area. It's a whole nother expense. It's a whole nother thing that they have to think about that isn't something that they knew about. You know what I mean? Whereas most marketing companies will say, no, just give us your credit card. Let's get started. We'll figure that out down the road. And then 6 months in, they've paid this marketing company, $500 to $1,000 a month. And then maybe that conversation comes up, or it never comes up because the marketing company doesn't want to tell them. Sometimes that marketing company doesn't even understand that concept themselves. And it can be a big, expensive mistake. And so it's something that I always like to tell people up front. It's something I always like to talk about in my YouTube videos, in my podcast, or when I'm on these shows like this. Even though it's not something that people want to hear about, I think it's a very, very important ranking factor that needs to be discussed, because it's one of the top 3, probably top 2 ranking factors besides the website when it comes to ranking on Google.
That's brilliant. So you heard it here first, everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I hate to talk about something that you don't want to hear, but at least you heard it. If you're not ranking in the city that you want to rank in, that's probably why you don't have the physical address there. So
yeah, and also be upfront in the costs that are coming down the line. So
yeah, it can save you a lot of headaches and a lot of money down the road if you're not told that up front. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
What do you think the biggest challenges are that these HVAC companies are actually facing in business today?
So one of the biggest things I think is competition. I think there's more and more people coming into the HVAC space. So I think it's getting more and more competitive out there. But then again, I also think that the more savvy business owners are going to be fine, because I don't think that a lot of HVAC company, I don't think a lot of the business owners are willing to go out there and rent that centrally located office in the city that they want to rank in. I don't think a lot of them are willing to spend money on a quality website. If you go into let's say you go into a city of 150,000 and you're going to have, 30 competitors. I think there's only 3 to 5 guys that are willing to spend the money on a good office, on a good website. I think there's 25 of them that are really not willing to spend the money, the time, the effort to do it right. So yeah, you got 30 competitors, but there's only probably 3 to 5 that are really going to be strong competitors. I think that's the way to look at it. If you're willing to do it right, you're going to be fine. Because here's
the question.
Yeah.
SEO versus adverts. Which one's better?
So social media companies they don't like me because I personally do not believe that social media works well for service businesses. Simply for the fact that when people are on social media, they're not looking for, and this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. Okay. When a consumer is on social media, I don't believe that they're in the mode of looking for a service business. Okay. I believe that they're in the mode of wanting to see what their high school friends are up to. They're wanting to be entertained. They're wanting to see funny cat pictures. They're wanting to watch funny videos. They're just not in that mode of looking for an HVAC person. They're not in the mode of looking for an electrician. They're not in the mode of looking for a plumber. Now, That being said, you still can get work from social media. It's still possible. Okay. I just don't think that the ROI is there compared to Google. When somebody is on Google and their HVAC system is broke down, they're out there actively seeking to have a problem solved, and they've got money ready to spend to solve that problem. So I believe that Google is just a much more effective solution to for service businesses. Now, if you have a restaurant or a certain type of retail business, I believe social media can be much more effective. I just don't believe for service businesses like HVAC that social media like Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, I just don't believe it is that your money is going to go as far. That being said, I have had clients who have had made Facebook work well for them. For example, I have a client who, after he is an HVAC contractor. After every job, he takes a picture with the client's pet, like a selfie picture with the client's dog or cat, a smiling picture with the dog or cat if they have one. And then he takes that picture and he does a Facebook ad, like boosts that picture as a boosted post. And then he spreads it around just like right around that zip code that he just did that job in. And he said that works absolutely well. So if anybody wants to take that tactic and use it, that strategy, go ahead and do it. But as far as just hiring like a social media company to do like generic ads, I have not seen that work well compared to like just Google SEO, Google ads, stuff like that. Just apples to apples. I haven't seen it work well as far as an ROI is concerned. That's just my opinion.
Perspective. I think that is such a true perspective. It's right. When you're scrolling on Instagram that you're not really looking for it, it might come up and you might go, oh, that's good. I was looking for that actually.
Yeah, if you hit them at just the exact right time.
Exactly.
Yeah, then you can find the clients, but it's just the timing is so hard to hit. Whereas on Google, they're ready. They're out there looking for it.
Yeah. So what kind of conversion rates do you see with the SEO?
It kind of depends on the time of year. So in the busy season, which is typically spring and summer, then we can get up to 20% conversion rates. Whereas the winter, we're looking more at like 5% conversion rates. So it just kind of depends. Now, there are certain things that we do to our websites. We are big on conversion rates when it comes to our websites. And I'd love to give a couple tips. Can I give a couple tips when it comes to website conversion rates? Okay. So when you have a website built, whether you build your website yourself or you have a company build a website for you, one thing you want to do to your website, always have a big, bold phone number in the upper right-hand corner of your website. Okay. People are subconsciously programmed to look for a phone number in the upper right-hand corner of a website when it's on a desktop or a laptop. Okay. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see is people put tiny phone numbers on their website, or sometimes their phone number is down at the bottom or it's on the middle of the website. And if you don't see your phone number in the first like 2 seconds of coming to your website, they're usually gone. They're gonna go look to the next website. People have like very short attention spans these days. And if they are looking at your website on a cell phone, which is more than half the people are looking at smartphones now, they're looking at your website on a smartphone. You want to also have that phone number at the very top or the very bottom. And I like to put them on little click to call buttons is what I call them.
Yeah.
Okay? And if your website builder or your web designer can put that on what's called a sticky button, meaning when they scroll up and down on the pages, if that button can stick on there, meaning it does not move as the website page goes up and down, then that makes it even better. Because the whole point of these websites isn't just to look cool and impress people, it's to get calls, okay? So if that phone number is in their face at all times, then you're going to double, triple the conversions, meaning the number of people that land on your website is going to double or triple if you can have that phone number available to them at all times when they're on the website. Okay. And the same thing for if people are going to be able to text you. If you want to take texts as well, you can have a tap to text button as well. If you have a book now button, like if you're using House Call Pro or some kind of scheduling program, something like that, also have the book now button at the very top or have it in a sticky button as well. So simple things you can do to have your web designer make your website convert better. I just wanted to.
Love that. There's some great suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah, if I look at 5 websites right now, I bet 4 out of 5 will not have a phone number that is big and bold and easy to find. It's that big of a mistake that I see people make. So yeah,
that's brilliant. That's such great advice. So looking ahead, the next stage of growth for Vigorous Marketing. Where do you want to take your company over the next 6 to 12 months?
The next 6 to 12 months, that's a good question. The big thing that we're looking at right now, I think in the next 6 to 12 months, ChatGPT is going to really take a lot of the search away from Google. So our big focus right now really is ChatGPT. It's going to be like people searching on ChatGPT instead of Google. So I have 2 teenage daughters that use ChatGPT probably more than Google. And my wife is starting to use ChatGPT more than Google. I was just talking to my cousin's wife. She's in her 30s. She's using ChatGPT. I don't think she even uses Google at all anymore. So I think that ChatGPT is the future, and Google now has their AI mode. You can pick a little thing that says AI mode on there, and it's very similar to ChatGPT as far as how it operates when you search for businesses and whatnot. So our big focus right now is how are we going to help our clients rank using ChatGPT and Google AI mode. That's our big focus, and we're having fun with it. We're super excited about how we can change the websites, how we can get people into other directories, how we can just get more exposure when it comes to ChatGPT and Google AI mode.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Sorry.
And it's fun. We're just having fun with it. We're excited about doing something new and getting more business for our clients. It's just exciting.
It's awesome. What is your biggest obstacle that's standing in your way right now of actually getting there?
The biggest obstacle is the fact that ChatGPT, I kind of mentioned it before, they keep changing what works. So like I said, Reddit was the big thing that they were using for a while. So we're like, oh, we're going to start getting our clients into Reddit conversations and whatnot. And then all of a sudden we looked and Reddit wasn't a big factor for ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. So just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and the constant changing of it is a challenge. So hopefully ChatGPT will kind of become a little more consistent on what works and what doesn't, so that we can create a more consistent strategy.
And then you kind of want to ask ChatGPT, tell me what works.
Yeah. We're constantly asking ChatGPT what works, and one day they'll tell us one thing, and the next day they'll tell us another thing. So, but that keeps us on our toes, and it keeps it exciting. So,
brilliant, Joe. I was going to say, what's one piece of advice you would give anyone out there working in HVAC that really wants to try and generate leads and generate business to themselves? What's the one thing you'd tell them?
So the one thing I would say is get a website that is optimized for both Google and for ChatGPT. Make sure you have a nice big bold phone number in the upper right-hand corner, and make sure it's bold on your mobile version as well. And then one thing I didn't mention is make sure that you have separate pages on your website for all of your main services. I see people just list all their the main services that they offer on their homepage or on a services page. If you can break those out into separate service pages, you're going to have a much better chance of showing up both on Google and on ChatGPT if you have separate service pages for each one of your main services. So, yeah.
So here's the question then. A lot of websites are just literally one long web page. And then when you click on the top, it doesn't take you to a new page, it just takes you to the section of that website. Does that not convert the same way?
Google does not like that, and it's much harder for people to see what you specialize in, for humans as well, to see what you specialize in. It makes you an authority in your different specialties if you can break it out into actual separate pages, and if you do it that way. And then if you can another thing that's really important is to use actual pictures that you've taken, whether it's with your cell phone or have a photographer take it, rather than use stock pictures. Google does not like stock pictures anymore. You need to have actual real pictures that you've taken or a photographer has taken.
Interesting. Does ChatGPT also function the same way?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So good to know. Well, Joe, listen, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on this podcast. If anyone would like to learn more about Big West marketing or reach out to Joe and speak to him further about websites or SEO, please see contact details below. Joe, it's been wonderful, and thank you so much for all that insight.
Thank you, Denise, for having me. This has been fun.